Well, good morning, boys and girls, or good afternoon, or good evening. How are you? For me, it's morning. It's still Sunday morning for me. Remember, I told you that in the last lesson that my wife is sleeping, but she's getting ready to get up because she's also going to do lessons. She does also some video lessons for ESOL students that are learning English. And I am in charge of science lessons for 4th grade, which is you, right? So we are going to continue with weathering and erosion today. Just we're going to focus it a little bit differently, okay? Last time we talked about, we discussed, we explored how beaches are formed. Remember how big rocks are broken down into smaller and smaller and smaller pieces and then carried away for hundreds and thousands of miles until we have beaches. And we saw that we have different color beaches, which I want to visit a lot of those, right? I'm sure you do too. Well, today we are going to look at, well, let me tell you this first. In the 80s, there was a movie made that my wife and I really like. And this movie, there is a lake in this movie. So we went to see the place where the movie was filmed. And guess what? The lake is gone. In just a few years, no more lake. So the surface of the earth changed. The surface of our planet changed right there. We expected to see a lake and there was no lake anymore. So let's go to the learning target and see how that disappointment that we had with that movie set, how it is related to today's lesson. Today's learning target is I can make observations and collect data to explain how landforms change over time. And of course, we're talking about our planet Earth, okay? So I can make observations and collect data to explain how landforms change over time. So just like that lake was not there anymore, in just about 25, 30 years, the lake was gone. So we want to explore different landforms on our planet and how they change over time, okay? So the first thing that I want you to do, okay? The first thing that I want you to do is to imagine something. And let me show you what it is that I want you to imagine. Or let me tell you what it is that I want you to imagine. I want you to imagine that you live on a planet where there is no wind, no bodies of water, no rivers, lakes, oceans, no ice. Now imagine how would the surface of that planet be different than the surface of the Earth. Okay, so imagine that you live on a planet where there is no wind, no bodies of water, no ice. How would the surface of that planet be different than the surface of our planet Earth? Okay, so now you're going to pause this lesson and you're going to write that imagination or those ideas, okay, in your notebook. Okay, so look at this one more time, then pause this lesson and write about this planet. So knowing what you know about erosion and weathering and water, wind, ice, knowing what you know from previous lessons, how would a planet like that look like? Might be a little flatter, right? Might be a little flatter. Or if the planet had huge mountains that were formed by volcanoes, they are super spiky, super pointy, because there is no wind to erode them or water to erode them, because there is also no rain here. So what are some of those ideas? If you are with other students in your classroom, you can share those ideas with other students. How does that planet look different than our planet Earth? Or maybe you are home, you can share your ideas with little sister, brother, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, okay? So what do you write down? How does a planet like that look differently than our planet Earth? Before we move on, there was something that I wanted to explain to you because you're gonna see it, I'm sure, in tests and books. It's gonna say mechanical or physical, okay, same thing, weathering. So mechanical or physical weathering, what it means is that it's just the broken down of rocks right there, okay, into smaller pieces. So mechanical or physical weathering is right there because there is also chemical, okay, weathering, but we're not gonna get into that. So you're gonna see mechanical or physical weathering, and that is just the broken down of rocks where they are, okay, into smaller pieces, all right? Remember that, because you might see either mechanical or physical together with the word weathering. Now, this next part that you're gonna be working on is gonna be super interesting, okay? And this is what you are going to do. You know how they have those pictures of before and after? Like they take a house that is super messy, or it needs to be, remodeled and things like that, or redecorated. So they take a house that looks like that and then they make it look really nice. They paint it and they put new furniture. Have you seen those shows like that? Or maybe you haven't. Maybe you don't like those shows. But you have seen in a movie where there is a person that starts with like really messy hair and just messy clothes and stuff like that. And then throughout the movie, the person changes. And at the end, the person looks perfect. Have you seen those before and after? I mean, in my opinion, the person with the messy hair looks perfect too. But that's what they do in movies, before and after, right? And in some shows. So today, we're going to be doing before and after. So it's going to be a before and after show, okay? And let me show you what you are going to do for that. You are going to open a document that is titled Landforms Changing, okay? Landforms Changing. And let me show you what it looks like. It looks like this, okay? And you're gonna go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we have 6. Let me see if I put another one there. And 6, right? You're gonna go through all of those landforms. After each one of those pictures, you have a box, okay? You have a box. So your job is to look at each landform before, okay? So somebody took a picture of that landform, and then many years passed, and they took another picture of the same landform, okay? And it looked differently. So your job is to write in that box, how is the landform different? So you're gonna have to write 2 things, okay? 2 things. How is the landform different, and what happened? What force, okay, was in action to make the landform differently? So we're not just gonna say, oh, it fell down, or oh, it broke down, oh, it's smaller. Yes, we're gonna mention that, okay? But we're gonna use more science vocabulary, okay? So use wind, water, ice, okay? Use erosion, weathering, and talk about how that landform changed throughout the years, okay? So let me show you an example, okay? Let me show you an example of exactly what I want you to do. Here is a before and after, okay? So this one right here was taken by a photographer, some years ago, and then the photographer went there and look what it looks like now. So what I want you to explain is, okay, there was an arch at a beach, okay? And many years later, the arch is not there, the top part fell. I think this happened because weathering, small pieces of rock started to fall down and fall down and fall down, and erosion from the water and the wind, maybe the water got higher and rushed through that arch, or little pieces of rock in the wind continued to break down that arch until it was too thin to hold and it fell. Okay? So you see how I mentioned weathering, erosion, rock, water. That's what I want you to do with each one. Okay? You're gonna go through each one, and in the box you explain what happened to that landform through the years. Isn't that incredible? That in just a few, maybe 15, 20, 50, 100 years, in a few years, the landforms changed completely, right? That arch that we talked about, and look at the waterfall, how big it became, right? So do you talk about how do you think that happened? And the other one, yes. completely gone, where there was a land formation that looked like a door, like a nice, beautiful arch, and now it's just a cliff. How did that happen? Okay, and the mountain that was kind of rounded on top now was flat, and that beach that was so smooth for like a long distance, and then it became like a dune there. What happened to it? And did you notice that in the last one that there was one of the rocks that was not there anymore? One of those formations that were going out from the beach that was not there anymore. Did you notice that? Now, do you know what I want you to do next? Do you know what I want you to do next? Okay, so this is what I would like you to do next. I want you to go back to that same document, okay? And now I want you to explain something different, okay? If somebody went there, okay, a photographer went there maybe 50 years from now, okay? How would each one look different? How would the first photo of that arch that fell, how would it be different in 50 years, okay? And I want you to explain the reason. And I want you to use science words, okay? So go through each one and explain how each form will look different in the future, 50 years from now. So you have the before, the after, and now you're going to infer, you're going to predict the future. How will those landforms change in the future based on what you know about erosion and weathering? Okay, so pause the lesson and go work on each one of those. Predict. And now it is your time to share with your classmates if you are in a classroom, or maybe in a Zoom room, right? Or if you are at home, share with somebody at home. How did those landforms change? So show them the picture and explain how those landforms will change in the future, okay? We have one more lesson to do about weathering and erosion that is going to wrap everything up. And by that time, you should know everything that you need to know as a fourth grader about weathering, erosion, and all the forces that shape our planet. But today, our learning target was that you could make observations. So you observe those photos and you collected data, right? To explain how the landforms change over time and how they will continue to change over time, because our planet is a changing planet, specifically because of those forces. So I cannot talk. I'm trying to talk too fast. So thank you for being with me today. I hope that you enjoyed the lesson and that you know more about erosion and weathering and the landforms on our planet. Have a great rest of the day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Remember, science is everywhere.